The reality TV industry is currently facing a personal problem that nobody anticipated. According to shocking new reports, Kirk Frost, who has long been renowned for his erratic behavior on Love and Hip Hop, has gone too far, shocking even his closest followers. Kirk lost all self-control on stage after he witnessed a never-before-seen private video featuring his wife Rasheeda and fellow cast member Joc. You read correctly. A secret video that shocked the entire production team since it was so intense and unexpected. Kirk was calm 1 minute, then he was hurriedly accusing and confronting everyone on the set, according to people close to the show. The alleged video has been described by some as intimate, improper, and betraying. Photos, what was in the movie, why didn't Kirk find out until later, and, above all, was there anything Rasheeda was keeping from everyone? Behind-the-scenes tensions are at an all-time high. The cast are split, and the fans are stunned. Is a bombshell that is ruining a reality TV empire. It's not just a battle. We promise that's just the beginning. On the set, there were murmurs, the kind that get louder every second until they are unavoidable. Kirk Frost had been unusually silent and had seldom glanced at anyone for weeks, especially not at Rasheeda or Joc, which suggested something was wrong. During what was supposed to be a routine Tuesday afternoon shoot, the truth finally came to light. Kirk arrived late, and his eyes were heavy with the storm that had been brewing long before he arrived. He was just not talking or joking. She did, as she watched him look at Rasheeda from the other side of the room, but she was clueless about what would happen next. The flash drive was allegedly brought to Kirk 2 nights prior, but no one knows who gave it to him. Some claim it was concealed beneath the door of his dressing area, while others claim it was a former crew member who was let go a few weeks ago. That's What Matters contained the Simply Play Me Kirk video file, and it was reported that he went insane after seeing it. According to insiders, the video, which showed Rasheeda and Joc in a hotel room, was shaky and unfinished, like film from a phone camera. The two were giggling, which was enough to undermine confidence even though it wasn't overt in the conventional sense. Kirk had seen it so many times on the set that he couldn't stop thinking about it. Kirk slammed. The sound team was filming everything she said. The Joc was sitting awkwardly close to her, placing his hand on her knee. Rasheeda froze, and the Joc moved forward to attempt to defuse the situation, but Kirk didn't answer when he screamed. "So this is what you all have been doing behind my back." The chair against the wall. "Don't walk up on me," Kirk snarled, his gaze riveted on mine. Joc hesitated. "You're completely wrong, Kirk," he tried, but Kirk cut him off. "No, as I watched you two drink and laugh, it seemed like you had nothing to hide. Her legs were all over you, making it feel like a beautiful evening." Kirk's voice cracked, and everyone could hear it. Rasheeda's voice trailed off as she walked up to him and said quietly, "You don't know the whole story, Kirk." But Kirk wasn't having it. "Then tell me what it is because it looks like you forgot," she said again. "That video isn't what it looks like." "No, don't stop anything. We were married. Let the world witness the consequences of putting your trust in the wrong people." Kirk pushed past the producers, who attempted to stop the cameras. The team was stunned, and the room became silent. It was no longer a fight, but a breakdown, and Rasheeda stood there crying in silence as the Joc looked down, clearly shaken and uneasy, and avoided looking at anyone. To make matters worse, someone on set posted a grainy still photo from the purported video on social media, which only fanned the flames. Aside from Kirk's ragged breathing, the entire atmosphere changed. Later that evening, Kirk sat alone, slouched on the couch, and held his head in his hands in a private green room. Speculation fans were in a frenzy, with timelines flooded with hashtags like #JoCandra exposed and #Rasheeda betrayed Kirk. This only served to exacerbate Kirk's already raging fire because people were taking sides before they even knew the whole truth. As a producer snuck in to try to get a statement, Kirk looked up, his eyes angry, and asked, "How long do you think she's been lying to me?" The question was meant to hum in the air, perhaps without an answer. While Rasheeda was outside in her, Joc attempted to repair the damage by dragging the producer aside and demanding that if someone could explain to her what Kirk had seen, let me see it too. She yelled at a staff member, but nobody had the drive, and Kirk hadn't shown it to anyone else. So the only evidence was what he said, and the picture was now going viral online. Her appearance at a club that night brought her to the hotel where we were all staying for around 10 minutes, and we talked, but nobody really paid attention. After the photo was published, perception turned into reality, and things did not go well for the men who had been on the sidelines. He finally lost his temper during a confessional session, looking directly into the camera. Kirk has been through a lot. If I were him, I couldn't blame him for losing it when I witnessed my wife embracing another man, even if it was a different one. The show's private group chat was a frenzy of activity, with some cast members siding with Rasheeda, who claimed Kirk was overreacting, and others backing Kirk, who claimed he had every right to feel duped. Mimi even commented, "Remember that cameras don't always capture the whole truth. We've all been manipulated." Kirk was thinking about loyalty, trust, and the years he had spent on the field rather than editing. Invested in this union, only to be taken aback by a few minutes of shaky video. He hadn't even had a private conversation with Rasheeda, but it had all taken place in front of cameras, friends, and strangers, and he didn't know how to take it back. Just as the set was beginning to settle down, Kirk's head snapped up when someone mentioned that Rasheeda hadn't gone home the night before. Should she leave? He wasn't asked. The crew were stunned and unsure of what to do as Kirk left the set, and as the cameras continued to shoot, the real story started. The room fell silent once more, but Rasheeda remained in her chair. Kirk got up, grabbed his jacket, and left without saying anything. Karine tried to think, but everything was in her mind. Every conversation with Kirk, every exchange with Joc, and now the sudden commotion. Could it be saved, or was it just a misunderstanding? She tried to tell herself that things weren't as bad as they looked, but reality hit her like a ton of bricks anyhow. Kirk had noticed that. The rest of the actors and crew started chatting among themselves, whispers getting louder and rumors spreading like wildfire. They were asking each other, did Kirk truly think they were together? Did Kirk truly believe that they were? One of the staff looked around anxiously and said, "Is there anything we don't know?" As one person put it, there was no denying it at this point. Whatever the truth behind the video was, Kirk was in no state to talk, so the producers decided to call an interview. Emergency meeting, but would Rasheeda Joc be in charge of repairing the damage, or would Kirk be held accountable for his own actions? Finally, summoning the strength, Rasheeda dialed Kirk, but her fingers trembled as she did so, and the phone rang until Kirk got up and heard her strained voice. Rasheeda Kirk's anger was evident as she continued, "I never meant to hurt you that night. Don't talk to me about that night." Her voice trembled almost into a whisper. Rasheeda pushed herself to take a deep breath to calm herself. "You want to tell me nothing happened? You want to tell me I'm crazy for thinking that something was off? I saw it with my own eyes. Don't act like I'm the fool here." Rasheeda sank into her chair and gazed out the window as her heart raced when the connection ended. "Kirk, you must realize that I gave our relationship my all when I married you, and now you secretly ended things with my friend. What was the reason behind my thought? That's the part you don't comprehend." Their confidence had been betrayed, and Kirk's decision was obvious after that loud phone call, but how can she even start to convey the issue to him now? How would she convince him that things weren't as they seemed back on set? The emergency meeting's conduct was unclear. Would Kirk lead it because of his? However, Joc was making every effort to avoid the media frenzy since he was aware that one mistake may destroy his career. There had either been an explosion or Rasheeda had to come forward with her own version of events. But one thing was certain. This was about a marriage on the verge of disintegrating, and no one understood how to keep it whole. Although he made an effort to keep quiet, followers began taking sides as the accusations and rumors persisted. Some were defending Joc, while others accused him of betraying Kirk in the most heinous way possible. Even if Joc wanted to get away from the chaos, he was unable to do so because everyone was watching and waiting for him to make a mistake. Then came a call that would change everything. "Hey, Kirk, man up, man. I know this situation sucks, but you can't keep running from it. You have to talk to her. She's your wife and Joc. I've known him long enough to tell you that he wouldn't do anything to cross that line." Kirk's emotions were still running high when he finally voiced his opinion on the matter. He had also seen the video, but what shocked everyone the most was the text message he sent to Kirk. He was taken aback by men's comments, though. He might have made a quick judgment or not considered all the options, but could he really turn back and take responsibility for his error when his pride was on the line? As it turned out, Kirk had no idea that his reputation, his marriage, and his life were all on the line, and that each second that went by, the producers knew that things had gone out of control and that the show would collapse because of the controversy if they didn't act quickly, despite the fact that the actors themselves were in such chaos. However, how were they to proceed when Rasheeda and Jack had been avoiding one another? Not because they didn't care, but because they were aware of the potential harm in their relationship. Although neither of them wanted to add fuel to the fire, they were powerless due to the media. Therefore, rumors about Rasheeda being seen on video in a compromising position with young Joc started to circulate on all gossip websites. One person screamed, while another wondered if Kirk Frost's response had anything to do with Rasheeda's adultery. It was a war zone comment area also drew harsh criticism from fans on both sides, who accused, defended, and pointed fingers at one another. Their lives, professions, and futures were at stake in addition to the show. Everyone understood that the next move was crucial, but none had the guts to execute it. There was a great deal of tension in the production studio. They had already done the damage and drawn lines. In reality, the question was whether there was any way to fix it. Kirk's outburst had started it all, but the day was far from over. Producers were unable to salvage anything from the wreckage of Kirk and Rasheeda's tense relationship, despite their knowledge that they needed to meet for a private discussion. And Joc, what about him? Was he now seen as an outsider by the cast, or would they ever welcome him back? Above all else, the question was still open. It was a waiting game that no one could predict, and the drama had only just started. The entire concert was going to be affected by this shocking event, and nobody was ready for what would happen next. Was it Kirk who was duped by the woman he loved, or Rasheeda who was misinterpreted and blamed for something that might never have occurred? Everyone was on edge as Kirk's dramatic outburst began to spiral out of control due to the media's continual coverage. But it wasn't just Kirk and Rasheeda who felt the fire. Rasheeda sat on the couch at home, looking through her phone as if the cosmos were against her. The comments given beneath the videos, and it seemed as though her entire existence had been condensed into a single, unrecognizable event in a few seconds of film. The video was filled with outrage, contempt, and disbelief. How could she do this to Kirk? Asked one fan, while another said, "I knew she was hiding something." Magnitude, but what truly irritated her was the incessant barrage of messages from admirers who believed they knew everything and hadn't even tried to learn the truth. The most agonizing part was that everyone was quick to criticize her without being fully informed because they didn't know what she had been through, what she had attempted to conceal, or why things had transpired the way they had while Kirk was coping with his at first. He would have been furious and thought that what he had seen in that movie was true. However, after receiving Mandasi's note, he began to question whether he had made a mistake or if everything had been misinterpreted. Kirk rewatched the tape one late night while sitting by himself in his studio. He kept seeing the conversations between Joc and Rasheeda. She looked at him and they both chuckled. It was not the video that unnerved him, but the suggestion of it. Maybe they were keeping something from him, or maybe he was just being suspicious. He picked up his phone and dialed Men's once more. "Yo, Kirk, what's going on?" he said after a brief ring. "Getting up?" Kirk retorted angrily, "I'm going crazy over this whole thing, and I don't know what's real anymore." "Man," remarked a steady, calm voice, "I don't know what to do." "Dude," Ment began slowly, "look, Kirk, I know you're right. It's hard. I feel duped in this way. The first step is to speak with Rasheeda and resolve any misunderstandings before making any additional accusations." Kirk responded forcefully, "You can't fix anything unless you know what he's mending." Ment said, "If you don't talk to her, you won't get the answers you need. Remember that it's not just about you anymore. It's about what's best for your family. Kirk, you have to make things right." The impact of Men's comments remained, and since everyone has been lying to me, I'm not sure if I can trust her moving forward. The following morning, Kirk took a deep breath and made the decision to face the storm head-on, calling Rasheeda with trembling fingers and pressing the dial button. He could hear the hesitation in her voice when she answered, but she said nothing. For the first time in days, Kirk felt a glimmer of hope that perhaps he could work things out with Rasheeda, that perhaps there was still a chance to save what they had. Kirk said, "Rasheeda, I need to talk to you," in a softer than normal tone. "We need to clear the air because all of this has gone too far, and I want to know the truth." There was a lengthy silence until Rasheeda responded, "I've been trying to. I never wanted this to happen," she said quietly, "but I got through to you, Kirk." "None of it, but you keep pushing me away, and I'm not sure what you expect me to do. So I wasn't sure what to think," Kirk said with some hesitation, "but I want to understand, so I need you to describe what happened. Was there something going on with you and Joc?" "My back," Rasheeda responded solemnly. "Kirk, I assure you that there was nothing going on between me and Joc on that tape. It's not as it seems. I was all ready, after Kirk hesitated for a time to see if she would answer. Kirk muttered softly, I want to believe you, but you've got to give me something. Tell me the truth, and maybe we can fix this. But if there's anything wrong, trust me. He was closed-eyed, and his brain was spinning with the uncertainty and sadness of everything that had happened. He drew a deep breath as Kirk realized she was right, but was it too much? I'm not hiding anything, but we've got to stop letting the outside world control our lives, he said before Rasheeda spoke again, her voice barely audible above a whisper. This drama is ripping us apart because we've allowed it to affect us for too long. Joc, on the other hand, was under a lot of stress. He tried his hardest to avoid the spotlight, but the constant attention from the media was unbearable. His career was on the line, and fans were berating him online for betraying Kirk. When Joc was unable to stop the rumors, he became enraged and called his boss, saying, I can't keep. His manager tried to console him by saying, I understand that, Joc, but you need to lead the spotlight for a bit. Joc added, this is destroying everything. I'm stuck in the middle of this tragedy, even though I didn't ask for any of this. You must be quiet for now while we attempt to minimize the harm. Despite his frustration, Joc knew that he had no choice but to keep quiet in front of everyone watching because the media circus would not stop, and he could lose everything if he did not handle it carefully. Kirk and Rasheeda's conversation in the studio was far from over. Both were tense, but they both knew they had to decide whether their relationship was worth it. Kirk and Rasheeda continued to discuss their upcoming marriage as the days passed, wondering whether they would be able to move on from their past or if this was the end of their relationship. What about Joc? Would he stay in the background, or would his involvement cause even more problems for everyone? The media frenzy showed no signs of slowing down, and Kirk and Rasheeda were at a breaking point, and every new headline made things worse, and the constant accusations and rumors had taken a toll on both of them. Obviously, something had to give, but neither of them was willing to give up without a fight, and Kirk, still in shock over the video, tried to focus on what was best. Like a fire he couldn't put out, his rage flared up every time he heard fans criticizing Rasheeda or saw a new headline about the video. One night, Kirk and Rasheeda got into a particularly furious disagreement, and he walked out of the house because he wanted time to cool down. Still, as he drove aimlessly through the city, the more he thought about everything that had happened, the more he realized how much the whole situation had affected him. It wasn't just the video that was eating him up, it was the years of unresolved issues between him and Rasheeda, the times they drifted apart, the times they'd neglected each other, and the times they'd ignored each other's needs. The accusations and arguments were getting out of hand, and she had done everything she could to keep things civil, but now she wasn't sure if it was working. Rasha was sitting by herself in their house, all of that piled up, and now it was coming out. She had called Kirk multiple times, but he had not returned her calls, and the silence between them was terrible. Rasheeda was about to give up when her phone buzzed. She paused for a while, wondering who might be texting her at this hour. Then she opened the message, which made her heart skip a beat. It was a video called Rasheeda's Secret Deal Exposed. When Rasheeda clicked on the video with shaking hands, she was shocked to see blurry footage showing her meeting with a representative from a different network to talk about her possible future on a new reality show. Rasheeda, we can offer you more money. Rasheeda had been keeping this meeting a secret from Kirk and had been considering her options because, deep down, she had always wondered if her time on the show was coming to an end. The drama, the fighting, the constant pressure, it was all too much. The producer's voice in the video says that Rasheeda's heart fell when she realized what this meant. After watching this video, she realized that Kirk had lost faith in her, and even though she had always tried to be open and honest with him, everything was falling apart. The secret agreement she had been considering was revealed, and Kirk would soon learn about her heartbreak. She sat there looking at the screen, tears in her eyes. Kirk was still driving aimlessly and dealing with the shock of his own life when his phone rang, and he nearly didn't answer because it was Men again, the last person he wanted to talk to at the moment, and he remembered that her attempt to control her own fate might have cost her the one person who meant the most to her. He needed to chat to someone, though, and he knew he had to respond. Hey, Kirk, how are you? Perhaps Men's had some suggestions. Men sounded more nervous than usual. Kirk's voice was subdued and worried. I'm losing it, man, he whispered. I'm so frustrated with Rasheeda that I'm seeing things online that I'm not sure I can believe anymore. The man's voice was still for a long moment before he answered quietly but firmly. Kirk, you need to stop letting these rumors control you. You need to talk to Rasheeda. You can't fix anything by your effort. When Kirk said, I'm not sure if I can trust her anymore, he was hysterical. She's been hiding things from me, and I don't know where this all went wrong. I understand, Kirk answered in a more reserved tone. But, hun, stop blaming her for everything. You two are in together, so you have to figure it out, whatever happens. His mind was racing when he initially got home, but after hearing Men DC's remarks, he realized that he had to face the truth, no matter how painful it was. Later that night, Rasheeda was still awake and sitting in the living room, holding her phone as if she were in profound concentration. Both of them were obviously affected by everything that had transpired, and Kirk paused at the doorway to observe her. However, neither was prepared to give up just yet. When Rasheeda looked up and saw Kirk standing there, he said, Kirk, we need to talk. Kirk then sat down next to her, saying, I know, Rasheeda. I've been thinking a lot. Rasheeda took a big breath. This terrible situation didn't have to happen. I never, Kirk glanced at her, his eyes full of grief and confusion, but Rasheeda acknowledged, her voice shaking, I was looking for a way out, a means to take control of my own fate, this whole scenario. I would rather not tell you, Kirk, because I would rather not add gasoline to the fire. After realizing that Rasheeda's departure from the show and their separation was a reality for which he had not been ready, Kirk began to say, I had to think about what was best for me since the TV business is exhausting. So you were thinking about leaving? He said in a voice barely above a whisper, I don't know what else to do, Kirk. Her words hit him like a ton of bricks. Were they really coming to the end of their marriage, or was this simply another obstacle they could overcome? Rasheeda nodded, tears in her eyes. I never wanted it to be like this, but I can't keep acting like everything's fine when it's not. As the media circus outside continued, Kirk and Rasheeda sat there in complete silence, neither of them knowing what would happen next, and they realized that their relationship and their lives would never be the same again. Kirk was a proud man who had always stood up for what he believed in, but now the woman he loved was the focus of a new debate and news story about how to handle the fallout from the daily upheaval that had taken over their life, and his mind was racing as they sat in their home trying to patch up their marriage. Although it hurt more than he could have ever imagined, he understood that he wasn't entirely to blame because Rasheeda had her secrets and choices, and that the video that started this controversy was only the beginning. In contrast, Rasheeda went through a great deal of emotional suffering as she, even though Kirk had always made an effort to prioritize their family, it felt like everything she did and every choice she made had only made things worse, and she was not sure if it had been worth the expense. She also felt a great deal of regret about leaving the show and taking charge of her future, even though it had seemed so important at the time. Although she had always been strong and had always presented herself as the ideal wife and mother, she knew deep down that the constant chaos, social scrutiny, and reality TV had been suffocating her. And she was aware that they were at this point of destruction because of the secret she had kept from Kirk. But what other option did she have? Now with Kirk sitting in front of her, she wasn't sure she had made the right decision, even though the deal with the other network had seemed like a solution, a way to get her freedom back. Rasheeda wiped a tear from her eye and remarked, I just wanted something more, something for me. Her voice started to tremble. I never intended for this to happen. Kirk was silent for a long time, staring into her eyes, trying to take in all that had happened, his thoughts racing, yet he still loved her, and he couldn't let go of the deception, the betrayal, the pain. Rasheeda, you're not alone in feeling lost or hurting here. I've also been struggling with my issues and frustrations, but that doesn't justify what happened or justify my improper reaction. Kirk's voice was low but emotional when he finally responded, I know you didn't mean for any of this, referring to the woman who had been his companion for many years. Her words broke Kirk's heart. The woman who had always been so strong and confident was suddenly damaged and unsure of herself. Rasheeda looked down, her hands shaking in her lap, and said, Kirk, I don't even know who I am. Whether I am the lady you fell in love with or someone I don't even recognize, I don't know. A tap on the door caught them both looking up, and Kirk, not sure who might be there at this late hour, got up to answer it, and he was when he opened the door. He wanted to remind her of who she was, but he wasn't sure if he still had the right. The video and the betrayal had destroyed their relationship, but could they mend it? DC noticed someone he knew as he entered without waiting for an invitation, and his expression was serious as he said, Kirk, what have you been up to? I've been watching and realized I couldn't stay on the sidelines any longer." In an unusually direct Kirk tone, Mens stated, hearing everything. "Are you aware of the situation involving Rasheeda and the video?" He added, inhaling deeply and stroking his hair. "Are you Rasheeda?" As she sat silently on the couch, the boys in the falling apart muttered, staring at her with sad eyes. "All right," he said, his voice quieter than when he addressed Kirk. "I know that things have. You must battle for what is rightfully yours, even if I know you're crazy." Rasheeda looked at Menesi. A small smile twitches her lips, and I'm not sure if I can fight much longer. Although I have long supported Mens, I'm not sure if my reasons are sound. He folded his arms and looked between them, saying, "I know you two are terrible, but you have the option of trying to cure it or letting it break you." Rasheeda and Kirk looked at each other, and I can't let you two do it alone. They realized they were exhausted and depleted by the drama and stress of being in the spotlight all the time. Mendes said he was correct and that they wouldn't have a chance if they didn't face each other as he left the room where Kirk was seated. Rasheeda was still upset by everything, but for the first time in a long time, they both unwound together. "Thought we had little prospect of addressing this," Kirk said, holding Rasheeda's hand calmly. "Perhaps we should start over." Rasheeda nodded, her eyes gleaming with a mix of hope and disappointment. "I'm willing to try for us, Kirk, even though I'm not sure whether we can." Our entire family, concerned by the choice, sat in silence, recognizes the drama and conflicts that would otherwise be covered by the media, save for the first and foremost, they had to figure out how to move past it, re-establish contact, and confront, outside of their home, where rumors and stories would still be circulating, they would face challenges together. Although the public would continue to observe, Kirk and Rasheeda had produced. They made the silent decision to defend their marriage and each other, and that was ultimately. All that mattered was that they made progress every day, although they both knew they had a long way to go. We're gradually getting back together, and despite everything, no matter how tough the path, they, when Kirk and Rasheeda's argument is over, were prepared to deal with the issue as a family. But is the harm too great, or can they ever mend their tense relationship? The next action could make all the difference. Watching is like attempting to fix the planet. Was Rasheeda justified in what she did, or was Kirk correct in what he did? Talk to us on what she did. Will her marriage last or fail? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Did Kirk and Rasheeda make the correct decision? Will they cross paths again? Whether or not their romance is gone, the like and subscribe buttons on this video are crucial. Set an alerting bell to be informed of any updates on the ongoing situation. Stay tuned for more startling disclosures. The narrative doesn't end there. With relation to the developing plot,